Welcome back to Movie Recaps. Today I will show you a horror film from 2013, based on a true story, titled The Conjuring. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. Annabelle is a doll connected to a demonic spirit, lying to two girls that it's possessed by a 7-year-old girl. The Warrens are interviewing them for their archives and to find out more about the problem with Annabelle. They tell them that the doll didn't do much at first, but then started moving around from room to room. One day it left a note for them, which scared them enough to throw her away. Unfortunately, it came back to their apartment in the middle of the night. So they called the Warrens to help them. The two of them are seen showing the footage from the interview at a seminar. They take questions from the audience and a man asks them what they call themselves. The husband says that they are demonologists, paranormal researchers, ghost hunters, and the wife tells the audience that they prefer to be called Ed and Lorraine. They've dealt with thousands of cases over their careers, but the one you are going to see today is so malevolent, they've kept it locked away until now. The year is 1971, the place, Harrisville in Rhode Island. A family arrives in their new home. The young ones are more excited than the eldest daughter. Roger and Carolyn think her behavior is just part of being the first child. Their dog is probably least excited about the new house, since it refuses to even enter it. Later, the family is seen moving their things inside the house and unpacking them slowly. Cindy takes a wind chime up to their porch and calls out to April to come back inside. April wants to show her the music box that she's found in the yard. That night the girls are playing hide and clap in the house. Two of them run off, leaving Christine to search for them blindfolded. They clap their hands so that she can find them. She asks for a second clap. Cindy cheats and doesn't clap, so Christine enters the closet and finds Nancy, who manages to break something. When Roger comes inside to check what it was, he finds a boarded up cellar. He lights a match and goes down the long stairway. He finds a lot of old stuff in the cellar, and when he comes back he tells the girls not to go down there. The next morning, Carolyn wakes up and walks through the house greeting the kids. Andrea tells her that there was an awful smell in her room. She walks downstairs and sees that the clock has stopped at 3. Carolyn finds Roger in the cellar, setting up a light. She has no idea what they'll do with the stuff that's in there. He thinks that there might be some antiques worth a lot of money. Roger stays down there to get the furnace working and Carolyn goes to make coffee. Another clock can be seen stopped at the same time. April looks for their dog, so she tells her to search outside. In a few moments, the parents hear April scream outside and run over to her. They find the dog dead. Meanwhile, Ed shows a reporter inside the room with their collection of things that have been taken from cases they have worked on. The reporter asks him if it's safe to have it all there than to have it destroyed, but Ed tells him that sometimes it's better to keep those things in one piece so they can contain what might be inside of them. He wants to see the Annabelle doll and Ed takes him to her. What stops the entities attached to the things from latching onto them, the reporter asks. Ed says that they have to take great precautions. Suddenly, there's a crack in the room. Ed finds that his daughter Judy has sneaked in. He scolds her, reminding her that she is forbidden to go inside the room. Later, the girl is with Lorraine and Ed walks in to bring her some coffee. They send Judy down for dinner and talk about the reporter. Lorraine can see that Ed is thinking about an incident that happened a while ago and tells him no to blame himself about it anymore. Back at the farmhouse, the girls are sleeping in their rooms and Christine feels like someone is grabbing her foot. Roger wakes up at his desk. He hears something in the house and follows it to the kitchen. The window is open, so it looks like it was just the draft. He hears something on the second floor and finds Andrea on the stairs, who tells him that Cindy is in her room, sleepwalking. They see the girl banging her head on the wardrobe. They don't wake her and take her back to bed. The next day, Roger tells Carolyn about it and she's worried about what they can do about the sleepwalking. He notices that she has another bruise on her, but she has no idea where she got it. He tells her to see a doctor. When Roger walks out of the door, he hears a bird slam into the house and die. Carolyn sends the girls to school and checks on April, who is talking to someone in her room that isn't there. She says that she's talking to Rory, her new friend, then gives her the music box she found and tells her that to see him she has to play the music box. When the music stops, she'll see him in the mirror standing behind her. Carolyn gets really invested in the game and thinks she sees something in the mirror, and when the music stops, April scares her. She begs her mom to play hide and clap with her. The mom counts down, then goes to look for April. She hears the first clap and follows it. The clock chimes and she asks for the second clap, getting to Andrea's room. She asks for April and the wardrobe door opens. Carolyn asks for the third clap and gets one from the wardrobe. She goes toward it and can hear breathing, but suddenly hears the girl running outside of the room. April walks in and Carolyn is confused about what just happened. That night, Roger comes home and he gets a call for a job. They go to bed. Christine is sleeping when something grabs her leg and drags her down the bed. She sees that her sister is sleeping in the other bed and then peeks under her own bed. The bedroom door creaks and the girl sees something next to it, so she wakes her sister and asks her if she sees the person behind the door, looking right at them. Nancy goes to check, but still sees nothing, while Christine tells her that it's standing right behind her. Suddenly, the door slams and Christine screams, prompting the parents to barge into the room. They ask what happened and she tells them, but they see no one. She says that it talked to her, saying it wants her family dead. Sometime later, Carolyn can be seen taking some supplements. She's covered in bruises. Then, she folds the laundry and hears clapping in the house, thinking it's the girls. She goes to check on them, but all of them are sleeping. When she checks on April, suddenly children's laughter can be heard and the photos all drop from the walls. Carolyn goes downstairs and the clock chimes 3 times, while she looks around. She hears clapping again and goes to investigate, when suddenly the piano in the basement starts playing. Carolyn goes inside and tells whoever is down there that she'll lock the door, then she turns around and the door shuts in her face, sending her hurling down the stairs. A ball falls from the neighboring wall and when she climbs up the stairs, the light bulb shatters. Carolyn strikes a match, when someone asks her if she wants to play hide and clap, then claps next to her. In the meantime, Cindy is in Andrea's room banging her head on the wardrobe again. Andrea gets her to the bed. Suddenly, the banging noise continues and Andrea walks up to the wardrobe. Cindy wakes when Andrea opens the door. A creature appears on top of the wardrobe and jumps on the girl. Roger comes home and hears screaming from inside the house. He gets Carolyn out of the cellar and then goes up to Andrea's room. She's screaming on the floor. The Warrens are giving another lecture on demonic possession and exorcism. Ed says that he's not authorized to perform exorcisms, but he's observed many. Next, he explains the stages of demonic activity, infestation, oppression and possession. Carolyn attends the lecture, then she meets with the Warrens outside asking them to come to her house and investigate it, because she's afraid for her daughters. Lorraine agrees. Later, the Warrens are seen arriving at the farmhouse. Carolyn opens the door for them. Roger greets them, then they meet the kids. Carolyn explains that they all sleep in the living room because the girls feel safer and that the house is always cold. She tells them that there is an awful smell like rotting meat that moves around the house. Ed explains that something like that could mean demonic activity. He checks the locked door behind him and Roger tells him that if they don't keep it like that it will bang in sets of 3s all night until dawn. Ed says that might be meant as an insult to the Holy Trinity. Carolyn also tells them that the clocks keep stopping every night at 3 a.m. They even stopped hanging the photos up, because something kept knocking them down. Carolyn tells them that the wardrobe was there when they moved in and that the cellar has many things that were there as well. Lorraine asks to see the cellar. Once there, she senses that something awful happened there. Later, Ed sits down to interview the couple. He asks why they don't move out, but all of their money are tied into the house and then they have nowhere to go. Ed records the interview, with Carolyn starting to explain what had been happening in the house. Lorraine talks to April about Rory. The girl says that he's always sad, probably because something bad had happened to him. She gives Lorraine the box so she can see Rory. The music plays as she looks at the mirror. Lorraine sees the boy. Then she walks out to the giant tree next to the lake and Ed joins her. She turns around and sees someone hanging over Ed's head and she almost faints. Roger and Carolyn explain that they don't know who lived there before. Ed and Lorraine tell them that their house needs an exorcism, but that the entity has already latched onto them. Lorraine has seen it and it was following the family everywhere, feeding of them. She tells Carolyn and Roger that there are a lot of spirits there, but that entity is the worst one. Performing an exorcism is a complicated process that takes a long time and requires a lot of evidence which they will have to acquire. As the Warrens leave they tell Roger and Carolyn to baptize their daughters for a little protection. Ed tells them that they'll have someone research the property to see what they're up against. Back home, Judy gives Lorraine a locket with her picture in it and tells her that she misses her and her dad. Later, Ed tells her that Carolyn's voice didn't record and plays the tape for her. Lorraine then tells him what she learned about the house and who built it in 1863. The man that built the house was married to a woman named Bathsheba, related to a woman hung for witchcraft. She sacrificed her child when it was 7 months old. Then she proclaimed her love for Satan, cursed anyone that took her land and hung herself on the tree. Her death was pronounced at 3 a.m. Another woman that lived there had a child named Rory who disappeared in the woods, after which she killed herself in the cellar. Lorraine found more people that have died or committed suicide on the property. Suddenly, the tape begins to play by itself. They hear a ghastly voice recorded on the tape at 3 a.m. The Warrens arrive at the house with Drew and are joined there by Officer Brad. They set up ghost hunting equipment all over the house. Ed, Roger and Drew set up a camera with a thermostat switch at the 3 as well. Roger asks if they've ever caught anything on film and Ed says that they have. He tells Roger about the witch that killed herself right above where he's standing. Lorraine and Carolyn talk in the house. She tells her about what the witch had done and that killing their baby was the way that witches believed they would get closer to Satan. Drew shows Andrea how an UV light works, then Ed comes in. A door creaks open and everyone is on standby, when Brad comes out of the toilet. That night, Ed and Drew check the equipment. Then Ed puts crosses and holy water around the house to piss off the entities. Suddenly, the same door creaks open again. The camera snaps a photo. Ed gets the camera, then goes down to the cellar with Lorraine and Brad. They ask for the entity to communicate with them. Ed looks though and records the sounds of the cellar. Lorraine feels sick and says that there is definitely something there. They leave the basement and suddenly the door slams shut, scaring Brad. Drew makes fun of him about that later, but he says he believes the clock which doesn't stop at 3:07. The next day, everyone is having pancakes for breakfast and Roger promises to take the girls out for ice cream later. Carolyn will stay and rest. She tells Ed that they all feel much safer with him and his team around. Later, Lorraine and Ed enjoy the fresh air and talk about the family. Lorraine really wants to help them. Suddenly, a storm begins to brew and the wind moves one of the sheets Lorraine is folding, revealing an entity. She sees it in the house again, where Carolyn is sleeping. Another bruise appears on her arm and the malevolent entity shows up above her, vomiting in her mouth. Lorraine goes after Carolyn, but she doesn't open the bathroom door for her, then lies that nothing happened. Roger and the girls come back to the farmhouse and he sees Ed fixing his car. He thanks Ed, even though he was skeptical when they first came. Ed says that he didn't want them to come because every time Lorraine senses something it takes a toll on her. He tells him about the last case they worked when she saw something that really disturbed her. When they came home she locked herself in a room and didn't come out for 8 days. She never told him what she saw and he'll never ask. That night, everything is set up and they begin the wait. Brad goes to the kitchen to get more coffee. He thinks he sees something on the porch and goes outside after he hears "Look what she made me do." When he comes back he sees one of the ghosts that killed themselves on the property. He follows it and it attacks him. He screams for Ed and everyone flocks to his position. As he tells the others what he saw, Cindy triggers a trap. Ed tells Roger not to touch her because she's not alone. Cindy walks inside Andrea's room and the door slams shut. Drew checks the audio and hears someone in there with her. Lorraine listens as well as someone is telling the girl to follow them. When the men open the door, they can't find her. Brad gets the UV light. Ed follows the girl's footsteps to the wardrobe and finds a trapdoor that leads inside the walls. They find Cindy there and take her out. April tells Lorraine that that's where Rory hides when he's afraid. Lorraine crawls inside the wall and finds Rory's toys. She places the music box in the place without dust. Lorraine finds a rope and pulls out a noose. Suddenly, she drops down through the walls in the cellar. Ed freaks out and runs out to find her. She hears someone's laugh, then activates the music box. The laugh turns into a cry and a woman saying that she made her kill him. The entity sees her and shows up in front of her, repeating the same words. She points her in another direction and as Lorraine turns, she sees the witch hanging herself in the house. The witch chases after Lorraine and grabs her necklace, when Ed hears her screams and opens the door to the cellar. Lorraine knows what the witch does to her victims. She possesses the mother to kill the child. She says that the witch is feeding off of Carolyn. Suddenly, something grabs Nancy and flings her across the room. It keeps dragging her and no one can stop it, until Lorraine cuts off her hair. They all storm out of the house and Ed tells Roger that they've got it all on tape, which will be enough evidence for an exorcism. He'll be back to the house with a priest, but without Lorraine. Simultaneously, she senses something that leads her to the lake, where she sees a vision of Judy in the water. Lorraine calls her mom to check on Judy. The girl is alright. She tells Ed about it and says that it's some kind of warning. The family goes to stay in a hotel in the meantime. Later, Ed and Lorraine show the footage to a priest. He tells them that it's complicated because the children aren't baptized and the family isn't part of the church. The priest looks over the pictures again and is convinced that the family needs help, so he says he'll push it though himself. Back at the Warrens' house, Judy is in her bed sleeping. Her locket begins to move together with Lorraine's locket at the farmhouse. Something wakes up the girl. She gets up and calls for her parents. Judy looks for them in the house and goes into the room with all the trinkets from their cases. Annabelle is out of her box. The girl runs back up the stairs and the lights go out, so she calls for her grandma. Darkness approaches her and something bangs on the door of the room where she hides. It stops suddenly, then the lights go out again. Annabelle and the witch are in the room. Judy cries for her grandma again and finally wakes her. The grandma can't open the door. Lorraine and Ed arrive at the right time, running into the house. Ed tries to knock down the door. The chair keeps swinging and almost hits Judy. She tells them that there was someone rocking in the chair with Annabelle. Ed checks the doll and tells them that she's still in the box. Meanwhile, Roger comes back to the motel and the girls tell him that their mom took Christine and April and simply left with the car. Christine asks her where they are going. Roger calls the Warrens and tells them what happened. Andrea has also told him that her mom smelled like rotten meat. Lorraine says that Carolyn will go back to the house, so Ed tells Roger to meet him there. Drew drives Roger to the house. Ed doesn't want to let Lorraine go, but she convinces him that she must. Brad arrives at the farmhouse the same time as Roger. He shoots through the door with a shotgun. They find Carolyn in the cellar wanting to kill Christine. They manage to subdue her, but April disappears as they drag the mother away to take her to the priest for an exorcism. They start bringing Carolyn out and Lorraine tells them that the witch won't let her leave the house. If they take her out, she'll kill her. The witch drags Carolyn back to the cellar. Drew leaves Christine in the van and runs back to the house to find April. The rest are with Carolyn in the cellar. She bites off a chunk from Brad's face, then they grab and restrain her. Ed needs to do the exorcism because Carolyn is running out of time, but he wants Lorraine to leave. She doesn't listen to him and gets the Bible from their van. Drew can't find April anywhere. Lorraine gets back and Ed starts reading from the Bible, then sprays Carolyn with holy water. She screams, making the entire cellar shake. Birds begin to attack the van and the house. The exorcism continues regardless, as Drew looks for April. He hears something under the kitchen floor and begins to break it open. Meanwhile, Carolyn spits blood and Roger wants them to stop, but Lorraine tells him that they're now fighting for her soul. Ed commands the entity to reveal itself. It screams and the entire house shakes, then it suddenly stops. The chair begins to levitate and Ed continues to read. Then Ed commands the entity to put her down. It tries to drop a cupboard on him, but he dodges it and tells the others to hold her still. Roger tells the entity to let Carolyn go, but it turns to him saying that she's already gone and that they will all die. Simultaneously, Drew finds April under the house and tells everyone. Carolyn hears him and goes after the girl. They all chase after Carolyn, but she finds the kid first. Suddenly, Ed calls the witch by her name and gets her attention, then orders her back to hell. Meanwhile, Lorraine speaks to Carolyn directly, telling her not to hurt her child. Carolyn vomits out the witch. They take her out in the sun and the family happily reunites. April approaches Lorraine and gives her the locket back. The Warrens come back to their home and Ed goes to the room to place the music box there. Lorraine tells him that the Vatican had approved the exorcism. They close the door and the music box starts playing. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.